Hey, it's Ariel Anderson. Hey, it is great to be here. I am in a cozy little nook here. If you can see, anybody recognize this wood here? I am in a small grove of redwood trees in one of my favorite places on the planet. When I meditate, this is what I think of: the smell of the redwoods and the bay laurel all mixed together. And I hope that you have a place where you also feel your calm, your peace, your grounding. If you're here in the stream, oh, hey, Vibrant Immunity. It's great to see you, Angela. Nice to have you in here. And Yana, I know that you're in here as well from Australia. There's probably some other faces I can't quite see here, but nice to see you and have you here with me. I'm wondering if you're here. Oh, hello, Mats. Yes, you love the redwoods too. Growing to love them. Put a 1 in the chat if you know, if you have a place where you find your grounding, your peace place. No matter what's going on in the world, if you go there or you think about going there, that it brings you sort of a balance. You put a 1 in the chat if you also have that place. Maybe I'll see it. Who knows what technology will bring today? Hello, Tallyhoo. Nice to see you. Oh, I know. It's so nice. We've got some screaming in the background because there's a playground not far away, but I hope that you do have it, regardless of putting a 1 in the chat or not. I hope that you have that place for yourself. That's part of the key to midlife pregnancy or life in general, is this ability to be able to come into yourself and create a bubble. Oh, that's okay about the Facebook Live that was this morning. Good, I'm glad you have that place to meditate. This is what Vibrant Beauty, Angela's mentioning. Yes, calming. The trees are calming. So I just lost my train of thought, but I love connecting with you guys. Yes, the sound is good. Playing and crying in the background. That is the reality. And I think that's the reality of life. And this morning I did have a live also for imperfect parenting, and there was some issues with getting everybody in, but in the future that was a new version of things. I haven't done anything much there, but so here we are. And so what's been coming up a lot is about creating that bubble of space around you. I talked a little bit about it in previous lives and different streams, whether you've been on Instagram or here. This is only my second one here, so we're still playing with the format and the reality. But that ability, regardless of what doctors are saying or family. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you have some of that, let's call it ambient noise around? You know what I'm talking about? So there's a lot coming at you all the time. And I apologize if my connection just went wonky. I just saw something kind of vibrate there. It's coming at you all the time. And the thing is, whether you're on your path to pregnancy or you're on your way to, you're already in pregnancy, either way, wherever you are, there's always going to be information coming at you, regardless of whether or not you've asked for it. And so, you know what I'm talking about? Maybe there's a nod, a nod in the, in the ether world here on the other side of the screen. I'm sure, because whether you're looking to get pregnant or you're just living your life, there's always somebody who feels it's their right to have something to say to you. And so I just want to encourage you, before we jump into questions, Q&A, which last time I realized I was so nervous that I was talking about other people's questions that were on YouTube, but I forgot to even really ask you, though one person did throw a question anyway. It happens sometimes. That's the introvert in me. But remember that you can always create your bubble. And you're allowed to say, you know what, thank you. Thanks for your ideas. Right now, I don't want to hear anything. Or I'm good. I've got a lot of information. And it's not only people, but there's media all over the place. And I know I keep talking about it, but because it's so important to create that safe space for yourself. Last time we talked a little bit about support system, how important it is to have the people around you be supportive and encouraging. And that's not always the case with family and people around. It might be a stranger or somebody else. And in the future, we'll have our communities for you to be able to do that. Right now, I hope that you can show up and feel the energy of the people here. That this group who's here in the circle now, the 6 of us, we are like-minded, hopefully, and there's at the very least the energy of encouragement, regardless of anything else. Not all values may be the same, but the core truth and hope and clarity of what you feel you're intended for is. So, okay, before I keep going, just remember, keep those boundaries. Like if it's this is interesting for you, just to allow other people to find the space. And we'll let things keep evolving each time that we meet, which will be every few weeks. Let's say I'll try to show up for you. And if there's other opportunities, we'll do that too. I'm wondering, where it is for you. If anybody, yes, if anybody pushes on your belief system, maybe saying that it's not possible to get pregnant at this time, or telling you all the things that will go wrong, just remember that it's your right to say no to doing too much, say no to information. Boundaries is the key and the theme of the day. That was what I also talked about in Imperfect Parenting. Is there anybody here who's also a parent? I know Angela, I think you're a yes there. Anybody else who's already a parent and looking at midlife pregnancy? You can say yes in your head. That's fine too. There's a lot of pull inside of that when you're a parent. And yeah, there we go. Yes. Okay. Finding your permission. I give you permission right now. And I hope that ripples out to you who said no, even when it was uncomfortable, at least one time where you might not have in the past. No to taking on a project. Uh-oh, am I totally frozen? No to yes. No to say no to even just being with people. Maybe if you need time to yourself, or you need to read a book, or you need to, whatever it is that you need, even when it's uncomfortable, I encourage you to, and especially with your partner, because if it's not happening now, then it's just a moment. There's something weirdy happening here. We have full battery. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we should be good now. Excuse me. Any questions that you'd like to send my direction? And maybe while you're thinking about if there's anything that you want to ask, or putting it in the chat, because there'll probably be a delay. I have wonderful Yana Han in here, and I would love for you, Yana, would you put in both links for the free resources that I have? I would love to give you guys. There's one, Many Reasons Why, for any of you who may have had loss, which just sort of dives in a little bit into some things to think about regarding loss and, moving forward from that. And then there's another one that's 7 Steps, which maybe you guys have already jumped in there. But if you haven't, 7 Steps is just some essential steps, some of the starting points or the essential things. Some of them are easy and some not as much, as far as, your path to pregnancy and whether you're headed that direction or, already inside the beginning. It's really keeping that stable world, as we've been talking about the space. It's keeping the stress away. And a big piece of it is just those two things. Your communication and alignment with your partner and your own body, building the trust with your own body is really strong. So let's see what we got here. How do we say no to the well-meaning suggestions without hurting people's feelings? That is a good one. And people are so excited to give you the information that they have. Well, I would first start with thank you. Thank you so much for wanting to share your wisdom with me, and it, depending on what they start to say, or your concerns. Right now, I feel full. Maybe we can come back to that another day. You can, just allow the space for it. Not saying no, I never want to hear it, even though it might be that. if it is a strong no, like I really don't want to read or hear anything right now, or I'm taking a cleanse from all outside information and just coming back to myself, people will respect that space most of the time. Now, that said, family and some closer friends will have a hard time with that. And there can be a bit of a reverberation. People aren't expecting it. But I would play around with it for your own soul and yourself. Play around, like practice. I do that often. In fact, recently with, I don't know if I don't want to get too political here because I might get banned, but there's so many different polarized conversations, whether we're talking about world diversity, or we're talking about vaccinations and health and immunity. There's so many conversations going on right now where people are where I am here in Northern California, there are people who are on one side who are just like vaccination is insanity. And then you've got people on the other side who are saying, if you don't, then you're a crazy person and you're putting us all, there's a lot of people who are having an opinion, for example, about that topic. And it's the same thing in pregnancy. People have a very strong opinion about something that they've experienced. Just remember this inside of your practicing what feels right for yourself, because that's what's worked for me is, just letting people know, right now I'm a little overwhelmed with so much information. I'm so thankful that you care. But not right now, works for me, but for you, it might look different. The other thing to remember is that there's a couple of things that go on with that giving advice. The first thing is that people want to justify their own experiences or decisions that they've made, that it's often internal. It's not necessarily meant as a direct thought, but it's coming on another level where people are thinking about they've made a decision to put their kids in preschool at 2, for example, and they'll say, oh, you better put your kids in preschool at 2. And even if they don't fully believe it or even necessarily love it themselves, it helps to justify their own decisions, which they may be uncomfortable with. The other thing is that some people just love to know and be the sharer of information, even when it's not great, even if it's something that's going to stress you out. So people don't necessarily have ill intentions, but it does come in. And definitely, I didn't read any books. Zero. Know what to expect when you're expecting. None of those. I even had, my friend gave it to me well before we were pregnant, and I went on a lot of forums. I think that's where I cheated. I went on a lot of forums and I would answer questions about fibroids and Lyme disease and things that I have had, and wanted to share information, but I didn't let myself overread. And as soon as I started to feel like attention where people were having difficulties and I felt myself worried and it was making me overthink, then I stepped back. It's great to share information, but be careful also that it doesn't stir things up. Yes, it is possible that things can happen. There's no guarantee, but it's not about you being 35, 45, 55. That's it. Yes, there are some stats that go up, but it's also about your specific family and your specific body and what you're doing with your body, your own experiences. And even just because you had miscarriages does not mean that you're going to have an unhealthy child. I had 5. And my daughter is incredibly vibrant and vital, has amazing immunity. She heals like that. So don't think that there's a weakness that's then going to ripple out in that way. So just be aware. Oh, great. Thank you. Oh, right. I forgot. We can't put the links in. It's YouTube. Thank you, Yana, for reminding me. See, I get so nervous and excited inside of this live. So Yana has put in my email, ariel@imperfectparenting.net. You can write, and if you'd like to get those freebies, I'm happy to send those over to you and make that happen, because that's important to me. Just put in the subject, many reasons why, 7 steps, either one or both, and I will send that your way, or just put it in the message. I do actually read my mails from you guys. That's important to me. Yeah. Any other questions that you would like to ask me, or, dive in? I will answer most personal questions. I'm not afraid to share. It was a roller coaster. There were a lot of intense moments. We have bonus family if you've got that going on in your previous family. If you're going on a second round of family, it can be very emotional. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of stories to complicate things a bit, and it does affect your pregnancy or ability to keep or get pregnant. It's very much part of that. The history of your family, whether you know it or not, does affect what's happening inside of your own ability to get pregnant or stay pregnant. And that's a really strong one. And I know I've talked about it before, but it's so powerful. I don't know. I have had some very strong experiences recently, realizing some of the history of my own family quite far back, and how that's rippled out through the generations and affected us on an internal level, depending on what you believe in. I don't even know always what I believe in. That doesn't sound right. I have a very strong set of values. There's just, if I want to say it's not that I don't know what I believe in. I believe in being open to the possibilities of things, but there is something interesting that seems to carry through the generations without even the stories being carried over, the voice, the written story coming to you, that somehow through the DNA, the cells, there seems to be a carryover of information. So if your family has experienced trauma, your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, people inside of your lineage, it seems to be showing up. It shows up where you have something going on where you can't even fully explain why you feel the way you do. Okay, Tallyhoo 9, you have another question. Do you believe you did anything different, subconsciously, consciously, that you may have brought about the conception of your daughter? Wow, what a good question. Thank you for asking that. Yes. So what changed after my fifth loss, which was much further along? What changed was, well, first of all, I was pretty much done with, okay, let's backtrack for a second. That fifth pregnancy, the other ones were psychologically and emotionally very draining, intense. I found that each loss for me personally, one was more physically exhausting and kind of intense. Another one was more emotional, and they seemed to take turns. But the fifth one, there was something powerful. And there was almost a cleanse, because I had a sort of an awakening inside that last pregnancy. What was going on with the loss, my personal feeling was, the awakening I had after that was that during each of the pregnancies, even though I knew I wanted the pregnancy, even though my husband and I talked about it, I knew there was a little part of me where there was some doubt and resistance. There was a resistance to time, realizing that even though I had known on a logical level, I had known, of course, your life was going to change, but I realized that there was resistance in letting go to sharing my body with another spirit, sharing my life. And I didn't have any idea that would come up. It came up a lot in the fifth one. I think that because we were more sure. I don't know, I can't say, but something woke up. So between the fifth and the sixth, there was an awakening of a need to surrender. And I did really, really deep work. And depending on who you are and what you've been through and what your life has looked like and how you manage the world around you, it can happen in different ways. But it is deep work. It is about, if you're surrendering, you're truly surrendering to the fact that looking at what you need. I realized for myself, the thing that really shifted is I did actually a sort of, I don't know if you call it deep therapy. I went into a group that works with things like this. Not my thing at all, by the way, at all. At all. I had to really let go of all my self-consciousness and any ego and really fully dive in and allow myself to be completely vulnerable with a group, with a facilitator. That was the choice I made. That was because I really felt like 5. That's so many. And I knew that I needed to push myself into a completely different and uncomfortable place. It doesn't have to be massively uncomfortable, but for me to be that vulnerable, and I couldn't figure out why. And this is the history thing that I'm talking about. Oh, I don't know. I wasn't going to share this on YouTube, but I might. Let's see what I can. So we had some, I don't know. We'll see if I'm comfortable. I might have to wait for another live, I'll be honest, or a group thing where it's more private. But let's just say there had been a lot of trauma in like way back in my lineage. And I hadn't fully realized it yet. And what happened was when I let down my guard completely, I realized I didn't feel totally safe, emotionally, physically safe. And I couldn't explain it exactly, but I realized that I needed to feel sort of a safe support of community. And that's what happened inside of this session. And I realized that that's afterwards, it was that letting go and allowing, here's the big one, allowing my partner, or if you don't have a partner, your community, allowing people to step up and be there for you. Now, especially if you're having a child for the first time, or it doesn't even matter. There's something about being midlife where we've come into our own wisdom and our own space in many ways, and probably maintained and made, how do you want to say, you've supported yourself in so many ways. And if you're sitting here on the live with me, I mean, I know some of the people who are in here, and I have a feeling about, you know, if we're here together, that you're strong and you are vibrant and you are a woman to be reckoned with in many ways, whether you're an outspoken or an internally strong woman, that you're here. I know that there's something in there in you. And it makes it harder to fully let go, like fully let go, be vulnerable, and allow that the people around you or your partner to step up in a way that you probably never have before. It's powerful for your relationship, and it's powerful for yourself. And I realize that it takes more than one or even more than two people to really make that happen. It's something that I've been thinking about since then. And since I had Ella, that I want to find a way to create for you, or to help facilitate for you. That's something I'm kind of mulling over, and maybe in the next months we'll do something. Because it's really powerful to go into that space, but it means a lot of trust. Vulnerability is big. Yes, exactly. Yes, being vulnerable and letting go is critical. And you know, the thing is that that receptivity, the vulnerability, the surrender, and the willing to allow people to support you, those are all things that not only for the pregnancy, but post-pregnancy are so important, before, during, and after, because, man, it's a powerful experience. And even if you've had kids before, doing it midlife is something different. Because you're so strongly on your own path and your thing. And at the same time, simultaneously, you're allowing somebody into your body, into your space. Yeah, it's a very special time, which is why we're here. Okay, vibrant immunity. And Angela, let's see. Were you pressured to take progesterone during pregnancy because of previous losses? Oh, what a good question. Okay, I think that's going to be my last question for today, because my battery suddenly got really low. Can you hear me? Oh gosh, hold on a second. What's happening here? Okay, I don't know what happened there. Excuse me. So if you didn't hear me, I was just reading Angela, Vibrant Immunity. She's an incredible doctor, by the way, and woman. Were you pressured to take progesterone during pregnancy because of previous losses? This is going to be my last question for now until the next one, which I think is on the 15th of June is going to be our next live, just in case you have to pop out of here. Okay. Yes, absolutely. It's a fantastic question. I actually was looking for a gynecologist. Where was I? Somewhere around my 4th or 5th pregnancy, or just before my 4th or 5th pregnancy. I was looking for the right gynecologist, because the one that I had didn't have all the equipment in her office. She was very old school, and she's from Israel, I think, and something, and she had different belief system, and I loved her, but I wanted kind of not to have to travel all over the city to do, for example, a ultrasound. Oh gosh. Okay. So this doctor, he'd come highly recommended, and yeah, he asked me no questions. He didn't ask me about my health, my eating habits, my family history. He just said, oh, as soon as you're getting pregnant, or maybe it was even on the way to pregnancy, we're going to throw you on progesterone. And he even said steroids. And I said, wow, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. I want somebody who wants to be in partnership with me. And this is what I encourage for you. So somebody who's in partnership with you, as far as the people that you're going to surround yourself with, whether it's, I did it all, doctors, midwives, doula. I talked to different people. I interviewed them or had a conversation with them to see if we were aligned. And, I don't care how recommended they are. I had somebody who was the person for high-risk pregnancies, and I was on the phone with him for 2 minutes, and my whole body said, no way. He was all about the drugs. It was all about sort of invasive, which I find very invasive. If you're the things that I do encourage you to consider are whether or not I did use Chinese herbs. I had something that was specially made for me. At one point, I was using Chinese herbs and acupuncture. I continued to do acupuncture and the liquid herbs because they were the strongest. I felt for me, that was the right choice. Now, I also did massage all the way through, even when they said you weren't supposed to, because that intuitively felt right. Now, everybody makes their own choices. These are the choices that I made because my body said yes to that. And my knowledge of my own body said yes to that. You know your body better than anyone. You have to decide for yourself. If somebody says, hey, take progesterone, and you feel, yes, that's the right choice, then you make that choice. I just would say find the most natural, least invasive, least interruptive, if that makes any sense, thing that you can. I know for me, I did Chinese herbs because it sort of showed up that kidneys, liver was kind of a little bit weak. I knew that from the past. I don't have issues or health issues per se, but I knew that that had popped up in the past when doing Chinese medicine. So that was the choice that I said yes to. And I'd had 5 losses, so I thought, okay, we'll try them. They were disgusting, really disgusting, but they changed every month. According to what was going on with my body, which made me feel better that sometimes, it's not just one thing that you're stuck with for 10 months, 9 months. So, listen to your body. And, all the things that are on that list that you may have already gotten, the seven things, I'm sharing with you what my experience was. And I know that there's a lot in here for you. And bottom line is always going to be, yourself. And that's the difference. You can't give the reins over to anyone 100%. Some of us might be giving you more information that aligns with your core values and some not. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not that you have all the answers or I have all the answers. Combined, you're going to be gathering that information. And if I'm your person, then maybe someday we'll work together. If you find an integrated medicine person who feels like the right person, then that's the person for you. But just remember, just because they've gotten a great write-up or referrals on Yelp or wherever you are in the world, that doesn't mean they're right for you. So I hope that's the answer. That it's interesting. I've been of that spirit and mind, vulnerable and surrendering. Yeah, surrender is such a big, big piece. Such a big piece. And I'll tell you, not the easiest. It sounds easy, but you can kind of retract into that, higher level of cortisol reality when, again, people are throwing information at you, or you have a loss, or something else comes up in life. It's a journey, like everything in life, right? And everything that we talk about now in the future is also going to be things for your own life and vitality as a midlife woman, and not just for pregnancy. So it's never one-dimensional. I always try to include something that's, it's got more worth for you going forward, and that you can pass on to the family that you're going to have, that you learn these things, you enhance the things that you already You're welcome. Thank you, Angela. Thank you guys for being here today. I'm going to go beyond these beautiful trees. I wonder if I can give you a quick view of what I'm looking at when I look at these beautiful. You see this? Don't want to Blair Witch you guys, but I just needed to show you because these are the great redwoods. Some of them are, 200-300 years old, and they've seen a lot. They've witnessed that history we were talking about. They've experienced things, and there's a calmness in this redwood forest, which I hope you can find for you in yourself and your journey as well. And thank you for being here. Trust in your heart and your own story. And I will see you. Maybe I will get a message from you, an email, and I'll send something out to you. Or I will see you, I believe it is July. No, sorry, I said July. June 15th. It's a Tuesday. I'm just curious, does this evening time work for you? Because we have people all over the world. So I'm wondering if 5 o'clock time, does that work for you guys? I'm just curious. You can put a yes or a thumbs up for me. If not, usually what I do is somewhere around 11:30, but then that cuts out part of the world. But earlier, and unfortunately, doesn't seem to really work. That's Pacific, of course, 11:30 Pacific. Yes, this time works for me. That's Angela. She's back east-ish, middle, back east. All right. Well, you guys are welcome to write me, and maybe I'll put something out to the email list as well, where I hold a conversation, and I'm, yes, you're in Australia. This is good. Yeah, I was just experimenting because we tried it in the morning. And some people came, and so maybe I'll take turns. Yeah, each time doing it late morning and in the evening, and see how it all comes together. I'm very thankful for you. And for you showing up here for yourself and for each other, just, holding that space, even though it's virtually, we're still holding space. I like to imagine us in this, like the circle of these gorgeous trees, that we're here together in a circle, supporting one another, even just, silently. So have a beautiful week and weekend. And thank you for being here. Thank you for asking your questions and honoring me with your story, with your questions, with your thoughts. And, maybe in the future we'll create something private where we can really dig in more. And also my internal, self will feel more comfortable to just put it out there. I put out as much as I can, but still there's the boundary thing we're talking about, in time. So thank you, and beautiful day, and see you next time.